Hello and welcome to Sim.bc, where it right now is 16:27 and how do I say this? Today I have like nothing to talk about at all. Oh my days, it's not that I don't have anything to talk about. I have like lots of different topics, right, that I have in the document, but I was just sitting here thinking, what should I take up today? Because I couldn't come up with a new project to talk about. I couldn't come up with a new project to just jump into right as of today. Why? Well, because I was out, because it's like 20 degrees outside and sunny, but still ice on like each and every lake, which is very, very weird. But yet again, Swedish spring is how it is, right? But so I like prioritized my time a bit differently than how I should have prioritized it. And so I came home and I sat in front of the computer and I looked through all of the different things, and I was like, wow, all of these are really prominent topics. All these are topics which I really would like to indulge in and really deep dive into and actually look at that a bit broader perspective, maybe even make an entire project around a certain aspect of this topic, right? And as I was watching them, I just realized that I'm not read up on it at this point in time, right? I still need to invest some time to actually, well, as I said, read up on it and actually discover and explore the entire subject. So today, I thought that I could talk about rather I had a couple of ideas actually, just a couple of honorable mentions. I was thinking about the importance of being on time, because it's such a strong principle that I actually try to push. The idea of, going outside, how important that is, since, I was outside today, and the importance of working out, just because for me that is such an important thing in my life, and it's like something that I structure my life around. But yeah, I'm going to do some study work for our thesis later on, so that's why I couldn't push this video either and actually read up on one of the subjects that I had, which is why. Anyway, so what I decided to talk about was the importance of taking a break. And most of you will probably sit there and be like, wow, do you really need that? Do you really need to make a video dedicated to the idea that you should try not pushing yourself? That sounds ludicrous now, doesn't it? Because if you think about it, yeah, if you just engage your mind for a bit and you think about, wow, what's the most easiest to do? What's the easiest thing for me personally to do, right? Or for you, for that matter, to do? Is it A, piling on lots of different things to do, just piling on saying, I can do that, I can fix that, oh, this sounds funny, I can do that, that looks funny, I'll do that later, and just pile all of these things up and never being able to have any form of free time. Now, is that you? Do you have an easy time doing that? Or are you the person who piles on all of these things but never does any of them? So let me just rephrase that. So for me, for instance, I take all of these different things, right? I see, playing the drums, I can do that. Playing the keyboard, I can do that. Playing the guitar, I can do that. Playing the violin, I would like to try and do that. Starting on YouTube, I would like to try and do that. Do things in school for study, I can do that. Hanging out with friends, I can do that. Work out, I can do that. Playing some video games, I can do that. Talking with friends on the phone, I can do that. And all of a sudden, I just need to go to bed. And I didn't have any me time, even though some of those things can be seen as like, wow, watching series and stuff, isn't that like your time? And I'm like, yeah, sure, in a way. But when you're following a series and it becomes more of a chore than a great time, even though it's great looking at it, it's more like a thing that you need to do to keep up with the next episode that's coming out. So it's still something that you kind of quote unquote need to do. And I'm very much such a person. I'm easily coming into patterns, and I easily find my way into, I'm doing this, now I need to do that, right? I'm taking the daily upload schedule, now I need to upload something. It's not just something that I can skip just because I want to. It is, right? That's the fun thing. That's the kind of thing I want to touch upon today. That it is a thing that I could just skip if I wanted to, right? And nobody would be any the wiser, right? Might be some people out there who would be like, oh, it wasn't the video from Sim.bc, but overall, on the big whole, after a couple of, 100 videos, people would probably be like, it's not that big of a deal, right? Give him a day. But for me, it feels like the world is collapsing, which isn't a healthy mindset, I mind you. It's not a healthy mindset at all. So that's why I was thinking about, why not just try to emerge the idea, try to breach the idea, try to elevate the idea that it's important to take a break once in a while, or to allow yourself to take a break. Now I understand that me saying taking a break from, making, I'm not saying that I'm gonna take a break from making YouTube videos. Still, 365 daily upload schedule, we're getting there, right? But some other things might need to get slowed. For instance, I can't play guitar every single day because then I wouldn't have any time left to, play the keyboard. I can't play the keyboard every single day because then I wouldn't have any time playing the guitar. So you need to find a balance in between there. And if you come up to a day when you feel like, wow, I really need to prioritize something else. Like for me, for instance, today I need to prioritize working on my, working on some studies. Then I need to be able to actually slope one of the things, both the guitar and the keyboard, for actually doing those things in school. Since my schedule is very optimized at the moment, right? I have very specific times when I'm supposed to do specific things. There's no just like dead time in between, and if there is, it's like 5 minutes here, 5 minutes there. Together with that, when I was talking to one of my friends, I was like, I might be able to throw in like 30 minutes of game time right here, and they're like, oh, can you really do that? And I'm like, no, I can't really do that. But I did it anyway, and that was like kind of my guitar time of the day. So I am one of those person who has a really strict schedule to which I actually follow. And as you say, many of you probably sit out there and you either say, wow, that's ludicrous, mate, you need to be able to take a break once in a while. And yes, I fully understand that. That's what this is all about. Being able to take a break, elevate the idea, actually exercising the point that yes, it is important. Keep that in mind. But some of you might be sitting there and be like, wow, I'm so envious. I mean, can you really do all of these things? Can you really say I'm gonna play the keyboard and then you start playing the keyboard? You start learning all of these things? Can you really say I'm gonna study on Thursday, and when Thursday comes around, you actually sit down and study on Thursday? Yes. And much about that is probably how I go about planning stuff. I have a to-do list. And instead of having a to-do list as a reminder list, I have a to-do list as these things need to get done during this time. So for instance, the day, I think I mentioned this before as well in an older video, when sometimes when I'm like feeling stressed, I sit and just simply write down all the things that I feel that I need to do. Now, notice that I didn't say all the things I have to do, all the things that I feel that I have to do. And again, I'm one of these people who just feels like I need to do a lot of stuff, even though it's I'm putting the pressure on myself without any external factors, right? There's nobody who says, you need to make a video today, right? It's more me who's saying like, I feel like I need to make a video today. Simultaneously with the keyboard, nobody says like, you need to play the keyboard today because I'm learning myself. It's more like me saying I need to play the keyboard today. So I take all these things that I feel like I have to do and write them down on a list, and I put that up on a day. Now, the good thing is that my stress is relieved in a way because I feel like, wow, I can manage to do all of these things that I want to do, right? And I will make them. I will have enough time to do all of it. So let's say Thursday then, just for an example. Thursday is fully booked. All of the days, right? Every single hour until I'm supposed to go to sleep is fixed. Especially now since I'm trying to throw in the wake up at 8 and go to bed at like 10, 11-ish in the evening, which is... Wow, it's such a paradigm shift in my life that I'm trying to make this change. So that's affecting a lot of my quote-unquote general and regular planning, so to say. That I haven't really been able to capitalize on those early hours because every time I wake up, I'm just feeling like I have so much time left during this day. But what I don't realize is that, I do realize it, but I don't really capitalize on it, that I will go to bed earlier as well. Anyway, so that's kind of a struggling scheduling problem for me right now. But that is how I can manage to do all these things. Say that I'm going to do one thing and then actually get around and doing it. Which might sound amazing to some of you, might sound really unhealthy to some of you, and some of you will just sound straight out strange that I have the feeling that I need to do all of these things, and that I have the feeling that I need to write it down in order to actually relax. But it's just my personality, right? But with such a, when it comes down to it rather, with such a scheduled life, such a structured, daily routine, you need to be able to take a break once in a while. And I don't talk about those breaks because I do this. And if you're similar as me, writing down stuff on a piece of paper, like these are the things I'm gonna do, you probably realize what I'm gonna say, but I schedule in breaks. Sometimes I'm sitting down the day before and I'm like, okay, tomorrow's Thursday. I want to play the guitar between 10 and 11, right? putting in an hour. And when I say putting in an hour, I mean that when the clock strikes 10, I'm gonna sit and play the guitar until the clock strikes 11. Like, non-stop. I'm gonna just change songs, and just play for an hour. That's all I'm gonna do, right? Exclusively. Maybe, you know, bathroom breaks I don't really schedule because I'm not like Sheldon Cooper in The Big Bang Theory. I'm not at that level yet, but I can totally see me being at that level in a very, you know, I just need to be a bit more extreme about it, and I'm probably at that level. Which is, you know, arguably, I don't find any problem with it, really. It's just that, as we're getting down to this break thing. So, for instance, I'm sitting 10 to 11, playing the guitar, and then I'm saying, well, from 11 to 12, I'm going to go out and walk for an hour. So I do that, and that's including, you know, getting ready for going outside. So I probably would schedule something along the lines with 1.5 hours. So that make me done like 12:30. Between 12:30 and 2, probably I'm gonna make food, eat food, and, you know, digest it, so to say, and do the dishes. Okay, good. That's 1.5 hours. Probably very realistic. That means that it's 2 o'clock by that time. So when between 2 o'clock and 3 o'clock, I'm gonna play the keyboard. Between 3 o'clock and 5 o'clock, I'm going to record, I'm gonna edit, I'm gonna do the script, I'm gonna do some research about it, and I'm gonna publish it, and I'm gonna post it everywhere that I do post it, which is kind of exclusively to Twitter, right? And then after that, I'm probably going to either go for a walk, or maybe I'm putting in some game time, right? And then, like, for an hour. And then I really mean play for an hour. It doesn't matter where in the game you are after an hour. You cut it off. Or I do. And then after that, maybe you put in an hour of studying. After that, it's 1.5 hours of actually eating in the evening. Between, what is it now? Like 7 to 8:30? You can shift that around, and after that I might say, well, I'm done with my day and now I can actually relax and do whatever I want, which probably derails into, you know, looking at YouTube videos and looking at different series. So that's like kind of a standard Thursday for me, right? I'm putting in all these things that I do want to do, and I actually do them. But now we come down to the actual problem of it all, and that is, sometimes when I schedule these things, I schedule in breaks, like a half an hour break, which means like that's a half an hour I can relax. The only problem is that if it's scheduled in, at least in my world, right, in the beginning that this worked tremendously well. It increased my efficiency, increased the productivity, no problem at all. It really felt like my daily life, even when I wasn't at any form of work, was kind of like a work, which tends to, as I stated in the problems of a founder, the problematic idea of a founder is that sometimes you turn your passion into a schedule, let's say. Turn your passion into just a tedious work, a tedious behavior, which is never a good thing, in my opinion. Sometimes it might be, but I would say a qualified majority of the time, it isn't such a good thing. So since I was scheduling this break, sure, I took a break and I really utilized the breaks, but still I scheduled in the breaks. So what I'm trying to say here is that if you have a equally as structured life as I do, which, let's be honest here, it might not be the majority that I'm talking to here, but some people out there are going to totally be like, yes, I understand what you're talking about, I'm feeling you. Most people will probably be the other way around. Like, oh, I want to do all these things, but I just never get around to doing them. I'm the opposite, right? I have all these things that I want to do, and I try my best to find the time to do all of them. Which sounds amazing, but it isn't that healthy. And yet again, this is why. Because now I need to find it in me to just break the schedule in some places, right? If I, for instance, scheduled my Thursday and I realized, oh, between 10 and 11, I actually can't play the guitar. Why? Well, because something else came up, or because, well, I don't feel for it anymore, or because I feel like, oh, it's more healthy if I don't do it. The only problem with that is that my mindset is that if I break one of those things, which is also probably happening in The Big Bang Theory when Sheldon breaks his schedule, is that I just imagine my entire life derailing into madness, right? That if I break it once, it's going to be easier to break it again. That might be true, that, you know, you're a person of habit, you want to do all of these things, and if you break it once, the odds of you breaking it twice is going to be greater than if you never broke it at all. However, This is like the mindset that I've grown up with, right? That if you break, you steal once, once a thief, always a thief, which isn't that good of an idea, because if we have that mindset, then what is the real meaning with the prison system as we do have it, the legal system as we do have it? Isn't the entire thing that they're going to learn, be a new person, and be adapted back into reality or back into society? Isn't that the case? So why do we have like once a thief, always a thief? Yeah, isn't that a bit strange to enforce that on kids who actually, structure and form their entire perception of reality? But I have kind of that mentality when it comes to like, oh, if I skip it once, I'm probably going to skip it twice. And if I skip it twice, I'm probably going to skip it thrice. And then I'm just going to derail into doing nothing, right? And I would like to say it's nothing wrong with doing nothing, but in my opinion, it kind of is, because you're not productive, you don't do anything with your life, right? It's just not who I am, right? I like to do things a lot of the time. It's just not, I don't like to do things all of the time. Apparently, it's turned out to be. Especially with these videos, because I feel like that's the one thing I can't really take away, and I don't want to either, just because, there is recorded footage on if I skip one of these videos or not, right? I mean, you can see if I skip it, which makes it feel even worse for me, right? So I need, personally, right, to work on this behavior, to actually realize that just because I break something once, break the pattern once, doesn't necessarily mean that I'm going to destroy my entire system in which I've lived my entire life with so far, right? That's probably not going to happen. What's more realistically is going to happen is that I'm going to break that time, so to say, that 10 to 11 guitar time, and just do something else completely different for an hour that day on Thursday, and then that's going to be a very isolated incident and not affect the other days. Probably. That's probably what's going to happen, right? I mean, if we're realistic, that's probably what it's going to turn out to. However, just that idea that I'm having in my mind, and I know that some of my friends who is also utilizing this kind of this kind of approach, let's say, are also thinking that if I skip it once, I'm going to have this, I'm going to skip it twice. And this is a very unhealthy mindset. So I thought, if I notice it, right, and I voice the opinion, usually when someone voices it, it's just like 10 to 100 people who are silent about it and don't voice it. And since I have friends who's also voiced it, I realized that, well, it might not just be me, it might be a couple of mates out there, a couple of people out in the world are feeling the same thing. So if you're one of those people, I would just like to say that I'm working on that right now. I'm really trying to find the gaps, so to say, in my own schedule where I can just take an unscheduled break once in a while. Why? Because that doesn't hurt. I would argue it gets you to, you increase your efficiency, increase your productivity, it increases your well-being, because some pressure is kind of relieved when you do this. Or at least that's the theory. That's what I've heard, right? I tried to do this today with going out instead of doing this YouTube video. When I had scheduled the time for it, I was thinking about doing the YouTube video between 1 and 2 today, or 1 and 3, but I walked, I took a stroll instead, was out in the nice weather because it happened to be a really nice weather outside. So I took advantage of that external factor and used that. External factors and situational factors. I could have talked about that today. Well, wouldn't you know it? I probably have that written down, but I probably skipped it. Otherwise, I'm going to write that down, because that's magnificent in my opinion. I think that's a really interesting concept. Anyway, mates, so this entire really rambly video about me not knowing what to talk about comes down to take a break once in a while. It won't hurt you if you're not the person who takes the breaks all of the time. And when I say this, people are going to be like, how do I know if I'm on the line or not? Like, look, if you don't know with it yourself that you're the one who takes breaks all of the time, you probably aren't one of those people who takes breaks all of the time. You're probably gonna know if you're that kind of person, because you probably ain't gonna have anything done with your life, right? Or rather, you're going to have things piled up, but nothing is happening. Then it's more healthy for you to probably start digging into some things systematically and get them done with. But if you are a person like me, who have your entire life probably in the upcoming 20 years scheduled on what you want to do, how you want to do it, and how you will approach everything, think about throwing in a break in there sometimes, yeah? That was everything for me, mates. Remember the break. Please, it's really important. Can't stress that enough, right? And I'm going to try to utilize this as well, taking my own advice, which I'm not always that good at, but I'm gonna try, right? We're gonna try this as a team, yeah? But that was everything for me today, mates. Coming at you tomorrow with probably, as it looks like, as it sounds like, situational factors and that, because that was really interesting, or it is really interesting. Have a nice one, mates. See ya.